Welcome to Auto Showroom, and today, we're about to spend 10 minutes with a name that's been whispered in garages and shouted down highways for decades. The bike that made a promise to the world and then kept it every time the throttle opened. The 2026 Suzuki Hayabusa. From the very first glance you feel it, this isn't a polite update or a mild refresh. This is a statement. Sculpted, savage, and unapologetically devoted to speed and stability. The 2026 Hayabusa takes the classic, voluptuous silhouette that generations recognize and sharpens every line. Adds purposeful vents and winglets and wraps it in paint that seems to move even while the bike sits still. The front cowl is low and concentrated. The nose is aggressive but refined. The fairings are tightly wrapped around the engine like a second skin and cleverly vented for cooling and downforce. And the tail is narrow and taut with a compact LED cluster that looks like a laser focus in the rearview. Look closer and you'll notice carbon fiber accents, hand-finished machining on the controls, and a stance that says this machine wants to carve as much as it wants to sprint. It's beautiful, but only because it's brutally functional. Step up to it and the ergonomics are obvious, sporty but not punishing. With a saddle that invites you to move forward when you want to attack a straight, slightly rearward for big radius sweepers, and firm enough to communicate every nuance of the chassis without turning day-long rides into punishment. Of course. Talk about a Hayabusa means talking about the engine, and Suzuki hasn't held back. The 2026 model keeps the identity of the bike intact with a heavily revised 1340cc inline 4 that's been reworked for modern performance and compliance. Suzuki's engineers focused on extracting usable power across the rev range, improving mid-range thrust while still letting the top end sing, and refining the delivery for smooth, predictable control under load. On paper, you're looking at a figure in the 190-200 horsepower neighborhood and a torque curve that's thick through the midband, but the real story is how that power arrives. Immediate at low revs, muscular in the mid-range, and increasingly ferocious with the last 2,000 or 3,000 RPM left in the scale. Throttle response is razor-sharp when you want it. But Suzuki has also given the Hayabusa a civilized button to press, ride, modes and traction intervention that let the same engine feel docile in traffic and explosive on a closed road. The exhaust note has been tuned for modern ears. There's a razor-edge top-end wail that rewards high-rev usage, but the bark at mid-range is deep and satisfying. A mechanical roar you feel in your chest as much as you hear with your ears. Real-world performance is intoxicating. The bike pulls hard, flicks down to lower gears with precision, and makes sweeping passes feel like a muscle memory exercise you fall into without thinking. Handling on a machine with this kind of speed is where many bikes compromise. Not this Hayabusa. Suzuki has delivered a chassis recipe that balances absolute rigidity with just enough compliance to make the bike live on real roads. The frame is a lightweight twin spar design with carefully tuned flex characteristics, and the swing arm is long, stout, and engineered to provide stability at speed. Up front, you'll find fully adjustable high-spec inverted forks with a big piston design, and out back a piggyback monoshock that's also fully adjustable for preload, compression, and rebound. The suspension package is engineered to be dialed in for aggressive track use, but flexible enough for long-distance runs. You can stiffen everything up and feel the bike clamp the tarmac, or soften it for comfort without losing that direct road connection. Aerodynamics play their part too. Suzuki's winglets and cowl shaping generate measured downforce that keeps the front end planted when the Hayabusa is asked to hold a high-speed line. The steering is surprisingly composed, precise at entry, neutral mid-corner, and don't be fooled by the size. The Hayabusa is flickable when you need it to be. The brakes are comprehensive. Multi-piston radial calipers biting into large floating discs up front, with a stout rear unit and a cornering ABS system that's tuned to be supportive but unobtrusive. The whole package feels engineered to remove friction between rider intent and machine. Response electronics on the 2026 Hayabusa don't distract, they assist. The Hayabusa gets a modern multi-mode electronic suite. Selectable riding modes that adjust power delivery. Traction control that reads lean angle and wheel slip in real time. Lift control for hard exits and drag management, and a configurable engine braking map. The dash is a full-color TFT with crisp graphics, showing ride data, mapping, lap telemetry, and smartphone connectivity so your routes and tunes are always at hand. The quick shifter is lightning fast and smooth for both up and down shifts, and Suzuki's adaptive mapping smooths power delivery while still letting the engine speak when you want it to. For track-focused riders, there's data logging, and the option to run different calibrations for tire compounds and fuel types, while street riders get intuitive, user-friendly modes that make the bike predictable and safe in slippery conditions. All of this tech is baked into the bike so it feels like an on-neon extension of your intention. You make a decision and the machine obeys. Comfort and fuel range are often the things reviewers skip on hyper-focused motorcycles, but the Hayabusa acknowledges the real-world rider. The seat is sculpted for long stints if you're doing a motorway blast or a canyon run with friends. Padding density and shape keep you supported without making your posterior numb after an hour. The ergonomics place your weight slightly forward compared to an ultra-relaxed cruiser, enough to give control at speed, but not to punish your wrists during a grand tour. Wind protection is balanced, the screen is adjustable, and the fairing shape channels air smoothly around the helmet and chest, reducing fatigue on long rides. Fuel capacity sits comfortably in the realm of sport tours, and with careful throttle use you can expect a respectable touring range. Plenty for extensive day-long rides without constant stops. Even if full-bore operation at track pace will of course reduce that number. Thermal management is excellent. The revised cooling ducts and improved radiator flow keep temperatures in check even under sustained high loads. Suzuki always knows how to stir the pot for collectors and enthusiasts, so the 2026 Hayabusa lineup includes a special track and tribute edition that will draw a crowd. This limited-run model includes lightweight forged wheels, a race-grade titanium exhaust, a bespoke AQ map tuned for higher redline and sharper throttle response, and a set of factory-fitted steering dampers and adjustable rear seats. Cosmetic touches include unique livery inspired by the original Hayabusa colors and a numbered plaque stamped into the triple clamp. A nod for those who want a piece of history that's rideable, not just hang on the wall. The Track and Tribute edition also ships with a factory-supplied set of rider ergonomics options, swap and pillion-less tail covers, track cushions, and a quick-release screen, so the bike goes from road to circuit in minutes. It's a thoughtful package for those who want exclusivity, and an off-the-clock option for closed-course exploitation. So who exactly is the Hayabusa for in 2026? It's for the rider who wants a flagship sport motorcycle that doesn't apologize for being big, fast, and brilliantly engineered. If you've outgrown the midweights, and crave a machine that will let you explore absolute speed and long-radius cornering with equal enthusiasm, this bike is your match. It's ideal for experienced riders who value a solid, confidence-inspiring platform and for sport tourers who refuse to compromise on dynamics. If you track, you'll appreciate the stability and aero. If you road ride, you'll love the usable mid-range and the refined electronics that make big power riding approachable. It's not a beginner's bike. You need to bring respect and experience, but for those who are ready, the reward is unrivaled. A motorcycle that connects like a scalpel and pulls like a freight train. Let's talk about price because that's part of the decision. Suzuki positions the Hayabusa as a premium flagship, and the 2026 model sits accordingly in the market. Expect MSRP to land in the neighborhood that reflects its engineering caliber, a number that puts it in competition with the top-tier leader-class sport bikes and premium sport tourers. When you consider the advanced engine work, the chassis sophistication, the aero, the electronics package, and the available Track and Tribute Edition items, the price is a reflection of engineering depth, exclusivity, and capability. You get what you pay for, a motorcycle designed to install confidence at pace and to reward precise inputs with brutal, usable performance. Before we finish, imagine a day with this bike, a chilly, clear morning where the tarmac is yours and the horizon seems further than it did yesterday. You roll the Hayabusa out of the garage, feel the weight settle through the handlebars, and the engine purr into life with the mechanical authority that sets the tone. The first uphill sweep rewards you with immediate mid-range torque. The quick shifter clips you into the next gear like a hinge in time, and the world compresses into a single, sustained arc of corner after corner. When you return home, you realize the grin hasn't left your face. That's the kind of connection this bike builds. It's not just about numbers. It's about giving you a machine that makes you better as a rider and more in tune with momentum, grip, and rhythm. if you're dreaming of a bike that blends legacy, modernity, and in you.